Hey guys, happy Monday. We are here with another Marketing Monday. So this is quickly becoming my favorite day of the week, Monday. Who would have thought, right? But here we are, and I have a really special guest today. I'm super excited. But before we jump into today's show, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, University Credit Union, Michael Welch. Thank you so much for sponsoring our show today. I really appreciate your support of us and our show and the community. So today I'm really excited to introduce you to Renee Lopez-Cantera. You guys normally hear from me with some tips. Well, today the roles are reversed, and I'm going to be interviewing Renee, who's over at Eikon Digital. She's going to tell us about programmatic digital ads. And basically what that is are data-driven ads. So, we're always trying to figure out, how do I know what's going to work for me? Do I just throw stuff out there? What am I doing? She's going to demystify all of that for you. So I'm going to let Renee go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi, welcome to Marketing Monday. I'm happy to be here with Misty, who's someone who I've actually partnered with on things before. Our digital agency, we work with other agencies and also some other direct clients to help them find how to target the right audience. A lot of times customers out there, they're all different types. They live in different locations. They have different likes and dislikes. They read different material. So through a process of testing and measuring, we're able to actually find out how to do that with real-time bidding. So obviously, community newspapers, a great publication. A lot of times it's a direct buy through your rep. Sometimes you want to expand that and maybe target a different location, say in Palm Beach or whatever. We can go ahead and help you with that.
Yeah. So Renee, thank you again so much for being here today. And as she said, we actually have worked together before. She has gotten incredible results for several of my clients through her digital marketing campaigns. It's extremely data driven, and we're constantly renewing it and reviewing it together and renewing it to figure out what's working, what's not working, and how do we make it work even better to drive more leads. So I'm excited to sort of just jump right into it. So do you want to explain a little bit about what programmatic marketing is?
Sure. Well, it's mostly data-driven. It's a system of real-time bidding through all different publishers, whether it's a local publication or a national publication, even the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, if that's your right audience. Sometimes they sell direct to clients, but again, they have remnant space, and this is where the programmatic real-time bidding comes in place. It's just another name for the whole ecosystem to be able to bid in real time, so that you don't have to have someone calling all these different publishers getting a buy. Say it's a university that wants to target a few different states or something like that, or car dealership, whatever. You could reach those people that way.
That's awesome. So, we work with a lot of local small businesses, and we work on those accounts together. So if I'm a local small business, I know one of the things that you guys work really well with is defining those demographics. And if people are visiting maybe Miami Herald or Wall Street Journal or whatever it is, we can get that data and allow our ads to show in real time, as you're saying, on those sites. Is that correct?
Exactly. So there's all different types of tactics. So usually what we do is, like through Misty directly, or she can refer me. What we do is we have like a brainstorm session to see what is your product. If you're in the real estate market, it might be a little bit different than, say, you own an ice cream store. I saw a cool video this morning that you guys posted.
Oh, yeah, Grant went to an ice cream store.
Yeah. So let's use the ice cream store, for example,
Perfect.
to get started. So say we all like ice cream. There's a new, I think it was Azúcar was the name, in downtown Dadeland. That's good because that's close to where we live.
Yeah.
So, for example, you might want to find out who are the competitors and try to see if they're reading about them. You might want to find out people who buy ice cream at the store, people who, so there's all different tactics depending on what it is. Say it's a real estate product, high-end luxury real estate in Pinecrest. That's going to be totally different.
Right.
So there's certain tactics that are based on geolocation. People are hearing about this a lot, but we all have our maps on, right?
Right.
So, it's not Big Brother. All the data's out there. You might wonder, you might receive something in the mail once you receive a pet and say, how did they know I have a pet?
Right.
They,
Right.
And, basically, if you're buying your pet supplies at one of these big retailers, the credit card, Equifax and Experian and Oracle, they all have that kind of data. So it's not personal. We don't know the name of the person, but we do know, certain particular people we want to target have certain likes and dislikes.
That's awesome. So do you want to talk a little bit how that can actually really benefit, and the benefits you've seen for your clients using those tactics?
Oh, definitely. So we'll go back to the real estate example. Obviously, Real estate has to do a lot with certain income demographics. Well, we can't use specific demographics on people for profiling, but in terms of if it's an income level and you want to target people based on an audience, okay, makes a certain income per year so that they can fit in this home, you would do that. Or there's also people who are searching on the internet with cookies, internet cookies.
Not the kind you eat, by the way.
Right, I know we're talking about ice cream already. So it's lunchtime, right?
Yeah, almost, yes, just about.
But you want to find out like certain audience details about these people, so we make sure that it's the right type of people in terms of things they're looking for. They might be from New York now moving down to Miami, which is a very common thing.
Yes, right now it is very popular.
So you could even track certain things like people looking on Zillow or Realtor.com for specific homes in that area from other zip codes. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
it gets
really
really nitty gritty,
Right.
and it's really it's more important than ever to show people ads that are relevant to them specifically, because when you're creating, your audience personas or your buyer personas and your demographics, you want to make sure that you're speaking to their special needs, because we're so bombarded with information, right? So I think this is a really, really effective. So do you want to explain the difference between, there's different types of audience parameters, right? So we have geofencing, as you mentioned, and contextual audience buying. Do you want to explain a little bit about what that is?
Sure, yes. So for example, contextual, a good example would be, like I have my laptop here. So for example, someone wants to use a laptop. You can actually find people based on, okay, they're in the market to buy a new laptop based on audience data, or they buy a laptop, say, once every few years. Okay, now they're in the market. So that's audience buying, right? Okay, then you have contextual buying, which might be associated with the types of things people are reading. So if somebody is reading an article about high tech or new features on computers or new plugins, then you can serve an ad that's similar.
Okay.
Even this morning I was looking at an ad, say on the New York Times books section. Well, there could be an ad for glasses because they say, oh, these are avid readers. Maybe they need glasses. So you can, a lot of times it depends on the budget of the client. Obviously, you want to test different things to see what works. Sometimes we slot different things depending on different budgets.
Right.
Geofencing is very effective for grand openings or new locations.
That makes sense.
Because it has to be in a certain radius where people are. They could say, I want every single person in the 1 to 3 mile radius to know about my new restaurant, my new furniture store, my new car dealership, or even just not new, just a refresher for the neighborhood.
Right. So thank you for explaining that, because I know it really gets confusing even for me sometimes. I'm like, I have to stop and think about the difference in these, because I don't do the audience buying and the advertising part of it. That's why I go to Renee. She's a pro at it, and they do a really awesome job. So when you're thinking about the different types of ads that you might want to produce or put out for your company and budget, how do you walk clients through that process?
Well, obviously we're talking a lot about data and science, but I have to be honest, just being in the industry for about 20 years, it's more of an art as well, because you have to really listen to what your customer or the end client is asking for,
right,
and what the budget is. So obviously you work so heavily on social media, which is so important, the content side. So you just have to kind of prioritize, okay, well, we've done the content, we've done maybe the Google ads or the Facebook and Instagram ads and video. We've done as much as we can in that, so let's expand and try something new. There's also another tactic that I didn't mention that's one of the most popular, which that one would be retargeting. So what that does is we put pixels on the website, obviously permission-based, and you might be learning about GDPR in Europe, like they always ask you, we have cookies on our site. But basically, those pixels are able to capture some data and demographic information about the people who are visiting your site. Mostly, it's just that you can target them again in the future. Before COVID and people were traveling on planes often, I remember I tried to book a flight on Southwest, maybe to go to New Orleans or something for a convention, and I remember I didn't complete it. I was on my phone, and then I got retargeted later with the exact information. That happens to people all the time.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Now people are familiar with it,
Right.
but a few years ago they're like, what's happening here?
Right.
So it's a little more common, but retargeting is very helpful because it shows a user intent, and that's something people really like to follow up with.
Right, because it means somebody's already searching for your product in other words, right? They're already looking to fulfill that need, and by showing your ad again, it's serving as a reminder of what it is that you do and how you can help them solve that problem that they're looking to solve.
Exactly.
In other words, right?
Exactly. That's why it's so effective. So again, with the whole art and science of it, we listen to the client, what their budget is or what their goals are, and then kind of come up with a custom proposal based on what will help them the most. And we never say, okay, sign this for a year. You know,
Right.
we're always testing and measuring. We know, especially with the economy and the small business environment with COVID, let's test something for 3 months. Let's even test it for 1 month and renew it after that, and make sure that everything's allocated. And,
Right.
I know we're going to probably talk about that a little later, but the way we do that is by setting up a whole complex testing and measuring system. So we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah. So, okay, so we talked a little bit about the tactics, where the ads show up, the publishers, right? Is there anything else that you wanted to add to? I think we covered it, but is there anything else that you think you want to add to that?
No, I think that's pretty important in terms of geolocation. I would just point out there's something newer that's called geofarming. So basically, say there's a new farm stores opening up nearby, or
Right.
a new Publix or Whole Foods or whatever, and they just want to let people know in the area, okay, this is going to be 3 miles or closer to your home, right? So there's another thing, this geofarming, which is more like, okay, well, we want to make sure we hit people who are shopping at Trader Joe's to let them know. So a lot of times, because of the device IDs, we have our maps open. So you don't know what person it is, but you know, oh, that person goes to Trader Joe's. Or that person goes to Publix. So then we want to target them for the new Whole Foods or something like that.
Right.
So it's it's competitors, but it's people do it, and a lot of, I'd say in the auto business the most, because you might be looking for one type of car, but it's in a similar class, and then a competitor might serve an ad, and you're like, how do they know I'm looking for a car? So if you were on the Mercedes website, maybe that you want a BMW or that kind of thing.
That's interesting.
Or Honda, just
Right.
yeah.
Right. But I mean, that's the world we live in, right? If you want to be competitive, these are the things that you really need to think about with your ad spend and your strategy. Right.
Because they're fairly new. I mean, Eikon Digital's been around for over 6 years, but at the time it was pretty new. A lot of certain publishers offer this, not all. But this is just an extension of what you're already doing that's working. I'm sure at community newspapers, people are seeing great results with their hyper-local ads. But just if someone is not seeing it on your Facebook and Instagram or in the publishing or online, this is just another way to add to that.
That's awesome. So, yeah, I really love the idea. But we would talk a lot about not putting all your eggs in one basket, just sort of, putting together all these things that work together really nice and cohesively. So really quickly, I want to give a shout out to Tiffany Graver-Smith from Seed School of Miami. She's watching. She said hello on my watch party, so I want to say hi to you and thank you for watching. All right, so let's talk a little bit about display ads. First of all, for people who don't know, what are display ads?
Okay, so display ads are mostly the banner ads that you see on certain publisher websites. I'm sure on local publications also they have banner ads. Now they're getting a little more engaging. They might be rotating, they might have video inside, but they're just basically displayed on the website. But it's interesting now because I don't know the exact statistic, it's always changing, but so many people now are reading publishers and publications on their mobile phones. So it's just something to keep in mind that when we target, we try to allocate certain percentages to mobile versus tablet or display.
And I imagine that's something that you'll tweak based on the audience as you notice what they're interacting with more or less.
Yes, that's the great thing about these programmatic systems. They're very much science-based, right? So the data shows us what different people, well, we don't know their names or anything, but the data of the viewers that they're looking on a mobile phone, say more. And especially depending on if it's a younger demo for the product, you'll see a lot more mobile. Also, sometimes if it's like we were talking about the bank, that's the wonderful sponsor. Maybe if it's a bigger decision, people are going to do it more from their laptop. They have more pages to fill out. So it's interesting to note that and look at the data. And actually, we have a dashboard. I'll just jump into that.
Sure.
It's called Datarama. They were bought by Salesforce. We use that for all of our clients because depending on the different tactics, even if it's just retargeting, we want our clients to see exactly how many impressions we're serving, how many clicks they're getting, how many people are actually following through, maybe with an online sale or a form fill to visit or make an appointment.
Yeah, that we use that data together, right? So for the clients that we share in common, that's something that we work together on. Renee and her team, they do a really nice job of sending us those types of analytics with a nice synopsis every month. But if I want to dive deeper into it, I have access to that Datarama dashboard, and I can look into it and look into, all kinds of different data, right? You can really drill down very nitty gritty of like, okay, maybe we should allocate our budget more towards this keyword because it seems like we have more conversions coming from this term or from this device, to your point earlier. So that's always super interesting to me. I geek out on that kind of stuff. By the way, I get super nerdy. I love looking at those numbers.
And the thing is, even the nerd in us, like, it actually helps because you really see the results, right? So like, you don't want a bunch of Excel sheets like, oh, what is this information?
Right.
And you have to spend a lot of time. Business owners are busy, people doing the marketing, maybe short-handed, don't have a big team, and you just have to have someone to do it. So that's where we come in, where, you have a whole strategy and the content and the social ads. And then we could look at the keywords that are working and then put a pinpoint more there. So sometimes you have estimation tools at the beginning, but as time goes on, you see, oh, look, this certain particular ad is resonating more with, it might just be who's in the ad or what you're saying in the ad. There's all different things that you can test for sure.
Right. So like sometimes maybe the wording in an ad or even the picture and the combination will be more effective than another version of that same thing. Right.
So and being able to see that and review it monthly, of course, but even weekly or daily, whenever you'd like. So we'd like to be transparent with all that.
Yeah, and I have to imagine that with things happening with COVID and really more of the digital being more important than ever, that's been more of a focus, right? Like, how are we shifting our strategies and how quickly are we doing it? Are we making sure that we're paying attention to people's behaviors and where they're at in order to optimize our funds, right, of what we're doing?
Exactly. And, even for people who are really successful with their digital marketing, they might have a whole team. People say, oh, I have a whole team in-house. Sometimes they help us with SEO or, you have your people. But this is something that we even do audits for people. So we'll port in all of their data from Facebook, Google, and then, all your publisher data and the retargeting and all these tactics, or so that you can see, wow, we're doing great in this area. We knew we are. If we up our buy, we're going to see this many more conversions if the pattern continues. So sometimes even if someone's very successful, you can improve your return on ad spend that way.
Right. I love that. That's super important. So let's see. I'm going to check on my watch party real quick. So I have my husband Anthony was checking us out. Thank you. I have my best friend Delvin saying hi. Of course, Tiffany, I mentioned her earlier. So thank you everybody for tuning in. All right. So as we continue, let's talk a little bit about connected TV. That's such a trending area that I think a lot of people may not even be aware of, that they can place ads there or how to do it.
Yeah, so this is really neat because a few years ago people weren't as familiar, but now they say people are cutting the cord. And even you see it, you would think it would only be like the younger people, but it's also in certain generations, in the older generations, where people just don't need all those channels. They say, well, I only watch this news channel and maybe the sports channel or Showtime or whatever it is. So they go through Hulu, they go through Slim TV, they go through any Amazon and Prime. So it's just pretty neat that ads can be placed there now. Kind of like video, because these TV commercials they're not like your traditional TV commercials you see that are reaching everybody. These can be focused with data. So it's growing because in Miami, obviously, not everyone has a connected TV.
Right.
But when people are watching it, it's almost like playing as a video. So it's less expensive than regular TV buys.
Right.
Because you're not targeting everyone, but it's very granular. You could say, I only want to target women with this product, or men, or these ages, or people who show an interest in this type of hobby. So
Right.
it's pretty neat.
And what about these streaming services that a lot of these companies are coming out with, right? So we're hearing of Peacock and all these different things that are coming out now. Is that an opportunity for connected people? You know, oh, I missed that on my TV, or maybe you just don't have cable and you're going to watch it on your phone on your lunch break or something. Is that an opportunity for advertising as well?
Right. So a lot of times people will say, okay, I want to be on connected TV. So then what we do is we do some research on what is available on connected TV. So sometimes, depending on the price points, they just say, you know what, I just want generic in the city based on some of these things. But if they want to get really specific on, I want people watching home and gardening shows. I want people watching cooking shows.
Okay.
I want people just generic who are home at this time slot. So that's how you get pretty nitty gritty with it. I'd have to say that most people right now that I have as clients buying connected TV are more generic. They just want people who are in the area that might watch a video, but also might watch it on television.
Okay. Okay. Super cool. So what would you say to somebody who has, you know, we have a lot of business owners watching this show. A lot of them are small business owners. Maybe they haven't even dabbled with digital ads yet. What would you tell them as a starting place? Like, what's the first thing they should do? Because they might be like, oh my gosh, there's social media, there's Google, there's this, there's that. Where do I even begin?
Well, first thing I tell them to call you Misty. Because you're great with strategy and ideas. And then, of course, community newspapers as well. But no, after you run through like an initial strategy, that's something we also do. We always give a 30-minute consultation just to hear what they're trying to do and kind of come up with some ideas. And if it's a very small business and they don't have the budget right now, even it's something we can brainstorm for the future, or kind of say, okay, well, if you just have like $1,000 right now, that's better spent only on Facebook ads and Google, because those are highly converting.
Right.
And then, but let's set you up with the retargeting ads, because that would probably be the next important thing. And just kind of start small and go from there. But definitely a strategy is important, because some people just take one ad and like throw it, which is okay because you want to see what happens. But sometimes just talking with some other people who have had experience, you can get some new ideas.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think that's so important, is having a strategy and working towards creating something that within your budget that will work towards that strategy. So even to Renee's point, if it's something you don't have a budget for today, at least you know, okay, this is a foundation of a starting point where it can work towards, and a budget I need to get in order to grow to that next point. And then you can go and go back and look at your budget and either create new fiscal goals, or maybe you even move your budget around. You have plenty of options, right? So all right, so I know I don't know if there's anything else that you want to add to the, we talked about so many different things today, so I don't want to be too overwhelming with people, and I want to thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else that you want to add?
Well, I think it's amazing. Thank you. I love what you're doing. I think it's always, business owners and marketing people are always trying to learn, what can I do next for my business? And sometimes people get really excited about an idea, like, oh, I have to try the geofencing. But as business owners, you know what works best. And so we like to hear what's working best and try to kind of continue on that and extend on what's already working for the company.
Right.
So I appreciate your time, and any way I can help, please reach out to Misty. I'm happy to.
Yeah, for sure. Renee, do you want to tell everyone how to reach you, by the way?
Yeah, so I'm at Eikon Digital, and you can find me on my LinkedIn profile. My name, I don't know if you see it on the screen there. It's Renee Lopez-Cantera. So just reach out on LinkedIn, send me a little message, and we can set up some time to chat.
Yeah, so Renee, again, she's really, really awesome. So if you're completely confused about all these digital ad options out there, definitely take her up on that 30-minute consultation to figure out what that best strategy might be for your business. All right, so I want to thank, again, our awesome guest for making the time to be here today. I appreciate your efforts and you sharing your knowledge, and I love working with you personally, so I want to thank you for all your support with that. Again, I want to give a shout out to our University Credit Union, Michael Welch, our sponsor for today's show. Thank you so much. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in to another Marketing Monday. Please feel free to contact me if there's any topics that you want to hear about about specifically. We're here to help you and support you grow your small business in the community. And as always, thanks to Community Newspapers for hosting us. So have a great week, everybody.